Record on this computer. Okay, here is the introduction. Hi, I'm Tyson Franklin, and welcome to this week's episode of the Podiatry Legends podcast designed to help you feel, see, and think differently about the podiatry profession. This podcast episode is sponsored by Podium. So Podium helps you get more Google reviews, helps you communicate better with your patients. So if you want to learn more about Podium, just go to podium.com, and they have actually set up a landing page that you just go /Podiatry Legends. There's a page there that will give you more information and you can have a chat to them. So my guest today is a repeat offender. It is Colin Power from Power Podiatry in Harvey Bay. Now, Colin was back on episode 110, and it was titled, Be Curious, Don't Be a Dick, which has been very, very popular, I must say. And today we are going to talk about Tai Chi. So this episode is going to be the Tai Chi Foot Doctor. So Colin, how are you doing this morning?
I'm pretty good. We're going to keep it to plan. We're going to only talk about Tai Chi and all podiatry related rather than get off track like we did last time.
Yeah, but the off track was good. It was also the longest episode I've ever done. I think it was 1 hour and 36 minutes by the time final production. And I did edit a lot of dumb things that I said out.
Well, it's pretty good with me. I got a referral from one of your people doing your course. She rang me up and had a chat and referred me a patient. So it's all this popularity is working well.
Well, after I think the first day that episode came out, I received 2 emails that day, one from Adelaide and one from someone in New South Wales, who said, "Oh, just listen to that episode with Colin Power." They go, "That was bloody brilliant," and I think they liked it that we covered so many different bases, but we did touch on Tai Chi at a particular point, and I realized we spoke about Tai Chi for about 10 minutes.
Yep.
Which was longer than I thought we spoke about, but
yeah.
I want to dedicate this episode just to Tai Chi and why.
Yeah, and we're gonna give
learn a bit more about it.
Some bonus stuff. I've got bonuses for everybody today.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So the first one we'll do.
Are these giveaways?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, it's even better.
So what we'll do, if we have time, we're going to talk people through a qigong, a breathing exercise, just for themselves. So for the clinician. So we don't need any visual aids. We'll be able to talk it through, so they can have a bit of a breathing exercise for themselves when the world sort of seems a little bit hectic.
Can they do it if they're driving?
They can do it with the driving. I prefer to say to people, look, wait until you're in a less sort of risky situation. So sometimes in between a patient, right? You can do it for 30 seconds or you can do it for half an hour if you want. It doesn't, once you get good at it, it's nice and easy. It can be just 3 breaths if you really want. So we'll talk about that at the end. But I've noticed that you actually get quite a few martial arts people that are podiatrists and do martial arts. So we're going to give a little something for them to go and have a read of. So quite often I write for an international magazine, which a friend of mine edits, and he's twice the UK magazine of the year. So he's won the UK magazine of the year for martial arts, and he's been runner-up. So 3 times, he's been in it 3 times. He's been the winner twice and a runner-up once. So this magazine is called Lift Hands Magazine. So all you have to type in is Lift Hands Magazine, and Google should find it. It's on a platform called Issue, which is ISSW.com, which has lots of free magazines you can go and have a look at. Yeah. So this is, as I said, this is pretty schmick. It's not your backyardy type of stuff, and it's free to read. You don't have to, but you can't download it. You can just read it on the platform, and you'll have not only about Tai Chi, you'll have sort of some of the greats from other martial arts. We'll have, so what's happening is in martial arts scenes, you've got old timers like me that want to have a voice because we're sort of disagreeing with the young timers or the great publicity of martial arts. So that's what's happening here. And a lot of old timers say, okay, we're going to tell you what our views are. Yeah. So Lift Hands Magazine, go and have a look at that. He gets about 20,000 readers an issue for a free magazine. So that's not too bad. We want to bump it up. We'd like it higher than 20,000.
So it's aimed at people who like martial arts?
It's aimed at people who like martial arts. So one of the guys that writes for it is a chiropractor in America that does a lot of work with people that have been abused and stuff like that. So he writes on a bit of a technical side of things. So it's mainly a martial arts magazine, but it's more based on someone who wants to deep dive into things.
Okay.
So there's different articles and different things. And stuff like that. So yeah, so Lift Hands magazine, if you're a martial artist or want to have a flick through a martial arts magazine, which is based on Tai Chi, but Tai Chi done in a different way. I'll be starting a new project with that editor called Tai Chi Renegades. I used to run Tai Chi Renegades a number of years ago. And then the person I did it with, which was my instructor, he was silly enough to pass away. And emotionally, I just couldn't continue it.
Yeah.
So I haven't done that. His anniversary of passing is 10 years in January. He was a very good Aussie, passed away on Australia Day.
That's very Aussie of him, isn't it?
Yeah,
How old was he?
He was 61, 62. Like he was in the UK. So, but look, he had complications. He had a very strong familial history of diabetes, which he managed really well throughout his whole life and stuff like that. But there's sometimes you just can't beat genetics, and the complications can get you in the end. So he passed with a massive heart attack. One of the fittest old guys I knew, but yeah, sometimes when your number's up, it's up.
I remember talking to a cardiologist once, and I said, "Is it true that 50% of people, their first heart attack is their last heart attack?" And he went, "Yep." So 50% of people will have a heart attack. That's it. There is no second one, and 50% they get to fight again.
Yeah, it's good. So the bonuses.
Yes.
Lift Hands magazine, and we'll do a breathing exercise. But what we've got also to is what I want people to realize: you don't have to do Tai Chi to get anything out of this content. So we're going to be talking about exercise prescription for your podiatry conditions, and going to say, look, steal as much of this information I'm going to give you shortly, and overlay it with your own understanding. Right? This is all about not forgetting you're a podiatrist, and just start going, okay, can I steal anything that Colin says and reprocess it through the way I do things?
Yeah.
So that's what we're going to mainly talk about. Because in my clinical practice, I teach Tai Chi on pretty much a daily basis. I will use a Tai Chi based exercise prescription in a lot of my patients, because I'll go, do you want to learn a normal exercise, or do you like to learn an exercise that is based on Tai Chi? And 9 times out of 10, they'll go with ooh, that sounds a bit interesting. Can we learn a little bit of Tai Chi? So I have a whole room set up beside my clinical room, which is big enough to do all that sort of stuff. And we'll do fun things with all age groups. It makes my day interesting, because if I've done a lot of that, I'm quite tired and exhausted by the end of the day.
But you exercise as well.
Yeah.
So, because you said on the last one, there was 2 forms of Tai Chi. So in case somebody hasn't listened to the other one, episode 110, go back and listen to episode 110. Mm-hmm. But you were saying with the 2 forms of Tai Chi, one, initially, Tai Chi can be violent and Tai Chi can be not violent.
Okay.
And we always see the one in the park where it's the non-violent version of Tai Chi.
Yeah. Let's do the Reader's Digest version of that. Let's do that short. So the name Tai Chi Chuan really means supreme ultimate fist. So you're not going to get that warm fuzzy feeling when someone introduced that I'm doing a hippie love hug exercise, but there's a fist in there.
Yeah, it's a warm
So supreme
fist.
ultimate fist. So whoever came up with that name wasn't describing a health art. They were describing a martial art. So you've got in the early 1900s where they sort of really marketed it a bit better. So the 1900 to 1930s, where they actually came up with the name Tai Chi. So Tai Chi is relatively a recent name. Before it was called things like Hao Chuan, which means loose boxing or cotton boxing and things like that. But they've got the term boxing, so they're not sort of saying meditation, they're not saying stuff like that. So you've got to really realize this comes from a martial art. And then in the 70s, mainly in America, a lot of people sort of sliced off the healing aspects. And in some ways, I think that's only gives you half of an understanding, because if you just sort of say, well, so all traditional martial arts have fighting as well as healing as their components. They have a healing aspect, because if you think about it, if you're going to do something that's violent, you've got to also look after yourself as well as be able to help others. So the real old traditional, all martial arts are very similar in a way. There's only so many ways you can move and do it. So what changes is your understanding of movement. So some martial arts seem to have lost that understanding because they just seem to be going through rote exercises, and others a little bit better. So all martial arts are similar, and just some people are better than others because they have a greater understanding. So then we've got two pathways. You've got people that say, okay, I do the martial version of Tai Chi, which you won't hear very often, or I do or they'll just say I do Tai Chi. And so they're doing the healing thing. So
did you do both?
Well, I do one which has both.
Yeah.
So our stuff has all the healing aspects. It just hasn't forgotten the martial aspect. So the form of Tai Chi I do is still a yang or yang-based Tai Chi. So a lot of people in Australia and around the world will be doing a yang-based Tai Chi, but there's other there's other things like Wu style, Chen style, all this. So there's lots of different Tai Chis. So I do a lineage that still has the martial aspects. So if people want to know, it's through the Xiaoho lineage. So back in the 1930s, there was two brothers, basically the older brother and younger brother. The younger brother became the more famous, young Cheng Fu, and he basically was really instructed by the Chinese government to let's split away the health side of things, where his other brother liked to punch people. And so he kept the martial, and he's nearly written out of the history books, pretty much. If you look through all the history books, some of the official history lines, you go, oh, where did that brother disappear to?
So why was that? Why did they try writing him off? Do you know?
A lot of times, yeah, it comes down to promotion. Like, so if the Chinese government says, like, we're really going to make this a health art for our nation and stuff like that.
Okay, yeah.
And so they basically how would you put it? They designed procedures and protocols for Tai Chi. So they got an art and systemized it. And in some ways, you've got to knock off some corners. And I think they did it for a reason. They just wanted a health art. And so the majority of people do Tai Chi as a health art, and there's nothing wrong with that whatsoever. And like when I teach Tai Chi for organizations, like community health organizations, I use the health aspects of the art that I know, because it's all encompassed. And so I just don't dumb it down. A lot of people dumb things down for people. They say, oh, look, they're old, they're this and that. So I'll still get people to do a correct, by definition, technique. I'll just reduce the intensity. Okay. So they're still doing the same thing. So therefore, some of the benefits. Because if you dumb things down too much, you might as well just go for a walk. Because the science says, well, okay, why is Tai Chi so much better than just doing a standard exercise program? And so they've done lots and lots of studies on it. And we'll talk about that. And we might as well do it now. Yeah. So for a podiatrist, you go, well, why Tai Chi? So the science goes, if we're doing it for balance now. So we've got a group of people, we're doing a balance training, falls prevention sort of approach. Why is Tai Chi better than just doing it through standard exercises? And so the tests come up that what happens is with the Tai Chi program is your foot and ankle muscles actually have to work even harder, but your hip muscles stabilize. Whereas a normal physio-based vestibular function exercise, both the ankle and the hips are still working pretty hard. So what happens is the Tai Chi way of doing things stabilizes your pelvis and trunk a bit more than other exercise groups. So we get your foot and ankle has to do a lot more work, but the rest of the body gets to become a little bit more stable, which helps prevent falls. So that's the part of the science why. And the reason being is you've slowed it down. So any exercise, so this is going to be like a tick the box, steal this item for your patients.
Yeah.
Slow all your exercises down, because it gives basically your neurological system time to learn. So even if you're doing a heel raise, if you're doing an eccentric calf exercise, slow them down so that they can't cheat.
So is this the part when, you'll walk through a park
Mhm.
and you'll see a group of people doing Tai Chi and they're going through these certain movements, but they're doing them all so slow but they're all very controlled while they're doing it. But it's that control that while you're doing it, that is where the strength and the balance comes.
Yep. So by slowing things down, you really have to work the muscles harder, but you're giving time for the muscle to learn what you want to do. Now, here's where I'm going to differ. So when you go through the park and you see them all at the same pace, doing the same speed, the same, I'll go, one of them's doing Tai Chi, the rest are just following. Right? Which means that, so what happens is you go, oh, they're all synchronized. And you go, okay, yeah, one's doing it and the others are just being puppets. So Tai Chi is working out what your body and the speed and the cadence which your body does. Right? So my Tai Chi would be different to your Tai Chi once you understood Tai Chi, and both would be right. You would be doing it at a different pace than I would be doing it.
But if you had a group of people, if you had a group of people in a park, and they're all doing it at a different pace, wouldn't that then be confusing? Like, because isn't there always the instructor at the front who's going through a certain move, and everybody else is following that move? But you're saying the instructor should go through a move at his pace, and then everybody else should copy that move, but at their pace. So some finish earlier than others.
Yeah. So it's a difference between McDonald's and a la carte. Right. So when you see everyone synchronized, you're getting McDonald's Tai Chi. Right. Okay. It's all the same. It's all built to a standard. That burger's identical to that burger. Right.
So it's not the best burger. It's just predictable burger.
A predictable burger. It's an ideal burger for someone who just wants something fast. So yeah, Tai Chi you should see slight difference in pace. Now, the difference with my Tai Chi is you have fast and slow movements in there. So you have like a build up, and then you have a release, which is a fast movement, and then a build up again. So they got in the newer versions.
Can you just repeat that for a sec? Because this funny noise just came through on my computer, which I think may have cut that out.
All right. So in the version that I teach, there is different cadence or different pace.
Yeah.
So we have slow pace. We actually have like a half pace, and we have a fast pace. So in the newer versions, most people are doing it at one pace, and they're actually being punished if they change that pace. So in the Marshall version, it's meant to have multiple paces, right? Meaning it's meant to have slow and fast and medium, all in the same bundle together. And to simplify it, they basically said, let's just do it all at one pace, which I think is wrong. It's sort of like running at one pace. I like doing interval training because I think that's what our body does better, rather than just one gear, one pace. So that's where some of my exercises differ, because I'll go to people, okay, we're going to do it at this pace, and then we're going to speed it up, and then we're going to explode. So when people say, oh, you don't do any plyometric training for your patients, I said, yes, I do, because we're going to teach them how to explode explosive movements and stuff. We've just got to get them there first. If they're damaged, you can't just say, look, we're just going to go straight to the plyometric version. So this is the other thing is, every person is going to respond to prescription exercises differently. So you've got to work out where your starting point is. And the only way you can really do it is by doing exercises. So when I prescribe exercises, I'll sometimes start with a exercise. And if they do that really well, I'll go, yeah, let's move on. They don't need that one. And then I'll take them. So we'll have a progression of intensity, difficulty, and complexity to put people through and go, okay, yep, we've found their starting point.
So you're always doing this one-on-one with people.
Yep.
to start with. Do you then move them into a group setting later, or it's purely with your patients? It's always just one-on-one?
With me at the moment with patients, and COVID's like changed my plan
It changed everyone's plans. Yeah.
changed everyone's plan. So when I did it with Anglicare, I had a large group, and then I would have an allied health assistant running around making sure we started off that group, and we called it the Please Don't Fall Down Tai Chi group.
I like that,
because it was the Parkinson's group. So really, I inherited the Parkinson's group. The physios would do a certain session with them, and then I would take over. And so we would do a group of exercises, and then we would do Qigong, which is energy work or breath work with them. And for old people, you'll find if you're with a lot of old people, they overbreathe, and they breathe quite fast and shallow and stuff. And some of it's learnt, and some of it's because of the medical history. But can you teach them to breathe differently? Yes, you can, because I did that for well over 3 years with a Parkinson's group. And if you ever want to have a challenge, a Parkinson's group, because there's no facial feedback, you can basically go, it's like doing a talk. If you ever do a talk to Parkinson's group, you'll know you could be dying or you could be doing really well, and you're just not going to know until the end. And stuff like that. And same with teaching them Tai Chi. They could be having a ball because they've got no facial expression or very limited. And if you get a smile out of them, you're doing amazing. Right? You're doing really, really well. So that's the thing. Like you've got to find your group's starting point, and then you've got to. So one day I walked in and I said, "Okay, guys, I'm going to teach you how to kick." And these are people that came in on wheelie walkers and stuff like that. And my allied health assistant said, "No wonder I'm turning grey." And I said, no, by the end of it, you're all going to do a single leg, single support kick. It's just not going to be very high off the ground.
Yeah.
And it took us an hour, and pretty much everyone was able to achieve a single support kick. And with varied support. Some would have to hold on to a chair, some would, but none of them fell over. You'd come to their class and they go, "Colin, I had a really great week. I nearly fell over." You'd be going, and you'd understand that was great, because nearly was the key word. Nearly meant I didn't fall over. Normally I would have.
So is this part of the training though, like doing the falls programs?
Yep.
What you're doing is teaching them that when they're standing on that one leg, using certain muscles to balance, do that kick over a period of time, strengthening both sides has to improve their overall balance. And if they do all of a sudden get themselves in an awkward position, then muscle memory will kick in and will actually stop that fall.
So your biggest thing is what you've got is strength, like a functional strength, rather than just an isolated strength. So my job was to challenge their sense of balance without terrifying them. So I would put them in very awkward situations where it was a challenge for them. So their neurological system was screaming, was saying, "I'm frightened, I'm going to fall." And I would teach them how to get to that nearly point and save themselves, and then work on. So, and that's the thing, when you see someone doing Tai Chi, we're in a constant state of imbalance. Right? People say, "I'm in balance." No, you're moving through. So traditionally in Tai Chi, we'll say there is no double weighted. Right? You do not stand there with equal weight on both feet. Right? Except at the beginning and except at the end. Right? And even then, when you get a little bit more advanced, you'll start questioning whether that even exists at the beginning and end. So there's no double weightedness, right? And that's where, and so we talk about people transitioning through. So one of the things that you'll find if you play around with old people and you'll get them to walk up the hallway, you'll see all of a sudden it's like they're walking on a tightrope. One foot goes in front of the other, and your base of gait narrows down with certain neurological conditions, as with just aging. So you say to your patient, "Please walk up the hallway and back towards me." And if you look for their base of gait, you get them up and down, and you go, "Gee, they're narrowing." And so I used to do a thing where I walk them on, I'd call it walking on train tracks. So we'd go, "Okay, we're going to walk on train tracks today." So we would go one foot in front of the other, but they've got to keep it a width apart. And ideally, if you've got tiles or vinyl tiles or something, or even put two lines down. So if you're dealing with people like that, you can do that in your clinic, and you can teach them up and down. You can go, okay, even if you have to put tape down, we're just going to walk up and down, and we're going to put one foot on one train track and one foot on the other. And then you slow them down, because then there are 80-year-olds that want to be far lap. And all right. And so you go, guys, we're just going to do this painfully slow. You and I will remember $6 Million Man.
Oh yeah.
Right? So you're running like, and so I would do that with my patients. So okay, and they were all in the age group they remembered $6 Million Man.
Yeah, and there'd be a lot of podiatrists listening to this who are younger, who have got no idea who this $6 million man is. So you wouldn't get much for $6 million these days either.
Oh no, he'd be a cheap one, wouldn't he?
Yeah.
So they'll have to Google $6 Million Man. And what it really comes down to is anything you do, if you say, okay, I'm going to do it painfully slow, all of a sudden your muscles are really working hard and your nervous system is sort of going. So here's another thing. When you can't spell something, do you just scribble? Like if you're handwriting, right? So
you've been watching me, yeah.
You get to a podiatry word and you go, blah, 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 because you can't remember how many I's in
is it I before E except after C, and which way is that around? Oh, was it 1 T or 2 on this one?
Scribble.
I know what I mean.
Yeah, so everyone does that with their movement when they're challenged a bit. They scribble, meaning they'll move through it fast, right? And so if you say to people, okay, if you're going to serve a tennis ball or even juggle, right? We're going to just juggle.
Yeah.
So we're just going to throw a ball up and we're going to let it drop. We're not even going to catch it. But I want you to throw it to the same height every time. So you've taken away all the extra bits. So same with when I teach movement, we have to slow it all down. We take away all the extra bits. So sometimes we'll start with, so I've got a young lady coming in for a final visit this afternoon, and she came with bilateral knee pain at 16. She'd seen the physios, chiropractors, Bowen therapists, you name it, and a combination of acupuncture and exercise prescription has solved her knee pain. Right? Now, the acupuncture, I do some unusual stuff where we're treating motor points of muscles and stuff like that with electrical stimulation. But the exercises were Tai Chi based.
Yeah.
But a lot of it was, I say, okay, we're going to hop, right? Because the vastus medialis is a hard muscle to activate, and hopping down and things like that. And so there's actually similar movements in Tai Chi. So we would do, and for sometimes, you're trying to find out where their weak points are. So when you're putting people through areas and activities, you're trying to say, okay, where do you do well and where do you not? And she was an ex-gymnast, so flexibility was not an issue. But this is where people get it wrong. Flexibility is not what you want. You want a functional range of motion, and that's when you're talking about strength. And so she was really flexible in some areas, but she was really weak in other areas. She could not squat to save her life. Right? And it's funny when an old guy like me is doing a squat to bum to ankle squat with her, and she's turning purple because she can't do it. And she's about to fall over, and her mother is rolling in the aisles laughing, which was quite fun. So you've got a lot of times you don't know. Like people think, oh, podiatrists, I'll know what's wrong. It's easier to put people through a functional test. And if they pass, good, move on, find something else. And same with Tai Chi. So when I do exercises with people, we'll sometimes go, okay, we're not going to teach a whole form. We're just going to do an exercise from that form. So some of the research, some of the best exercises. So we've got some exercises. So one of them is called Repulse Monkey. Great name.
Repulse Monkey.
Repulse Monkey. It's a great name. All right. So what you're doing is you're going backwards, but with a forward intent. So there's a stepping backwards. So you're virtually getting people to step backwards on a railway line, right? And then allowed to get skinnier. So that's been lots of tests for increasing your vestibular function. And then you have an upper body movement. So sometimes I'll just start with people doing the lower, like the leg movement. So we're just going to up and down a hallway. You're going to walk backwards, and you get to look over your shoulder. All right, so you get to turn one way and then turn the other way, and all you're doing is walking backwards.
Yep.
So that
makes sense.
Yep. So that's a simplified version, and because you're walking backwards, it's a neurological challenge. So your vestibular function's just going ape. It's thinking, wow, this is crazy. I'm walking backwards and I always fall over. Right. And then you're going to actually put an upper body movement in, because we don't walk with just our legs. And so we have a way with Tai Chi that has got lots of science base. They've done lots of studies that beats normal vestibular function exercises that the physio is going to do. So this one's a walking backwards with forward intent. In other words, your hand movement's going forward, your body's going backwards. So all of a sudden your brain's tilting a little bit, just going, oh my God, what am I doing? And it's a great exercise. All right, so it's called repulse monkey. So that's one I'll do.
So they're basically stepping backwards, but pushing their hands forward. Like
yeah,
they're going to walk forward. That's why I'm moving away from the microphone here, because I'm doing it at the same time.
Yeah. So the hands are coming across and down, right, as you're going backwards.
Oh, okay. So they're coming over like a swimmer.
Yeah. So you're turning your hands. So one hand's in front, one hand's behind.
Yeah.
And then it's coming and replacing, right? And then you're stepping at the same time. So
this video will eventually come out. So when people watch the video, this will make a bit more sense. But if they're listening, is trying to get the picture, so you're stepping backwards, but the hands are coming over almost like a swimmer, one at a time, and the other one's pulling it. So that's the forward movement with the hands, upper body, but backward movement with the lower body.
Yeah, but there's even another thing. You're actually twisting. So because your hands are coming over, but it's the opposite leg that's going backwards. So this is where Tai Chi creates extreme challenges, but so you're crossed over. So your neurological system is crossed over a little bit by saying, I'm going to step backwards with one hand, and as I come and settle, the front hand's changed.
Yeah.
So I'm stepping and then seating. So in other words, transferring my weight. And so on. So people can Google repulse monkey Tai Chi, and it might come up on YouTube, and you can see.
So do you have any videos like on your own website or anything like that?
Not like this.
I suppose if we Google repulse monkey.
Yeah, look, I've got some videos up on other aspects of it, but it's a bit more martial.
Yeah,
and I should do some of this and put it on my website.
Well, the thing is, the whole idea of this conversation, and it's not that I'm expecting anyone's going to listen to this episode and go, I now have full understanding of Tai Chi. I now know how to do it all. To me, the idea of getting you on and other guests that I've had is they spark interest in people to make them go out and start learning more.
Yeah,
this is just the lighting the fire, and then it's up to them to actually run with it.
Yeah. So the next exercise they might have actually done, right? So a lot of times people say the glute medius, the side bum muscle, right? And they might have been told to do crab walking or side stepping, right? They're stepping up the room sideways, right? So Tai Chi has an exercise called wave hands in cloud, right? So it's a side stepping, but people don't realize, even the people who've done Tai Chi for 20 years, you can do that same exercise in a circle. All right. So you don't have to go side to side. So if you're doing side stepping exercise and you run out of space, or you've only got a small room, you can do your side stepping exercise and go around in a circle and come back to where you were, in a lot smaller space. And that's even in Tai Chi, not many people realize that that's one of the actual official variations from the old school, that you can do that exercise going in a circle, which is even more of a challenge. So side stepping, right, is great for your pelvic stability and stuff like that. So most people, you'll see them side step and they'll go up and down, up and down, up and down. Whereas the head is meant to translate at the same height. So when you side step, you're going double width movement, single width. So you're going double foot, double hip width, shoulder width, and then single width, double, single. You're not meant to bob up and down, right? So then you become doing it sideways, and your head is not going up and down. So therefore, yeah, so your head just went up and down.
Yep. Yeah.
So if to do that, now you have a massive quad workout. Your quads are working out. Your pelvis stability, because you're not allowed to, and you're meant to do it slowly. So, and that's just the walking aspect of it. And then we put an upper hand.
So you're saying that while I'm standing here like this,
yep,
I'm supposed to be able to, okay,
yep,
brace myself, take a step, but my head not actually just keep it all at the same level. I'm trying to still talk on the microphone at the same time, and then take the next step. Oh, Jesus. It is actually a bit of a workout to do that.
Yeah. And so, yeah, we do that a lot. I do that a lot with people, because I've noticed pelvic instability. So a lot of times people are coming in and they're going, okay, we're starting to muck about with knees a bit more. And I go, yeah, so am I. But I'm also checking their pelvic stability. So we're doing the classic step down test. So you get people to step down. You can do it front on or side on to test whether their glute med is functioning or the pelvic stability is there. Because if not, you're going to get a knee valgus problem anyway. So you go, where do I start? Do I start with the knee? Do I start with the pelvis? So a lot of times I'll do complex exercises that do it all. All right. So we might add this, or we might do, okay, wave hands in clouds. We'll say, I could just teach you the physio version of sidestepping or crab stepping, or I could teach you Tai Chi. And most people will go, yeah, let's learn a little bit of Tai Chi.
Yeah, I'd go the Tai Chi.
Yeah, because there's also a hand movement that looks really nice. And so it starts looking like something you want to actually learn rather than you have to actually do because someone told you to do it.
Yeah.
And so we bundle that, and I'll quite often then say, okay, we're just going to do some box squats or chair squats or goblet squats, whichever you want to call it, where you're going to get someone to sit and stand up again, and they're virtually going to have chair height. And so for your sit to stand type patients, and you're going to look at their knee going into valgus and stuff. So you pair up exercises for certain conditions.
It's just once again, as you're getting to do that exercise, though, you want to see them sit on the chair and then come up, and it's just one beautiful movement, not the knees buckling in and them twisting their back one way to put more force on one leg to actually pull themselves up. It's a one nice movement.
Well, what you've got to do is, okay, you don't want to grind your patella into your knee.
Yeah.
So you've got to teach them about hinging at the hip. So hip hinging. So your bum's got to go back first before you sit down. And then you've got to lean forward before you go up. So you've got to, if you're going to teach people how to squat, you've got to know how to squat without doing damage to the knees.
Yeah.
You don't want to create this patellofemoral syndrome type of thing and go, oh, I've got a patient for life now, just because I've prescribed the exercise with the wrong technique.
Well, it's funny you should say that. Even at Muay Thai a couple of weeks ago, we just did this 2-hour session. We're buggered. And then at the end, he said, okay, before we finish, 200 sit-ups, 200 push-ups, 200 squats. I'm thinking, yeah, that's how I like to finish a 2-hour session. But I must admit, after doing the 200 squats, my patella on my left knee, was not happy with me.
No. So as a thing, we're all aging. So, and we all carry injuries, right? So you've got to learn how to do technically well.
Yeah.
So if you're going to prescribe exercises, do them yourself so you know how people cheat, right? And then start going, well, if I do 10 squats, why is my knee throbbing, right? Is it because I've got osteoarthritis, or is it I'm just doing incorrect technique? So I used to do the manual handling training for Anglicare. So I had to teach people how to pick things up, transfer patients and stuff like that. Hey, that's not bad for a podiatrist. Teaching physios how to transfer patients and pick things up.
Yeah.
So podiatrists can do anything. We're amazing.
I think most people listening to this have already figured that out.
Yeah. So you've got to realize, okay, when you do it, you've got to look at the technique and you've got to slow it down. So the other thing what you really want to do is when you're doing a squat, when you're older, you're going to start your squat from stationary seated. So you've got to be able to start the engine from the middle of the squat position. So why not teach it now? So when I do a box squat or a squat and I'll have a chair, they've actually got to stop at the chair and do a 2 count, go 1 and 2 before they go up, because it's too easy to go down, up, down, up. So you're going to go start the motor down. I'm going to do it slow. And then I'm going to go count to 2. And then you've got to start the motor again, and it's got to go back up again. Because that's what you need to do when you're 90 to sit up or to get out of your chair. You've got to be able to, can I start the motor from this position? Right? So a lot of times, a lot of people just have the right idea, but they haven't taken their understanding further. They haven't said, what am I trying to achieve? What am I trying, and for what patient? Not many of us are going to be treating elite athletes, but every person I treat like an athlete. Yeah. Whether it's Doris who's 80, right, or that 16-year-old, right? They're all athletes, or because they're doing movement, they're doing an athletic movement. And so I think about, how am I going to do, if they're going to do 1,000 reps of this, am I going to do more damage than good? So if you are, don't do it. So you've got to work out, well, how can I use my podiatry biomechanics and look at stability, and then go, let's put them through and then see what happens once they fatigue. Because that's when you go, oh, this is why the patient's good for the first 5, but the next 5, no, you've got knee valgus now and that. And then sometimes you'll say some sports require the knee to go into valgus, but in a controlled way. So you can actually start going, well, can I muck about with putting people in a compromised position and then become stronger in that compromised position? And so there are, in Tai Chi, there are lovely positions like sitting like a duck. I love the names. Sitting like a duck. How many ducks sit? Like and sitting like a duck, that you've got your legs crossed. Like your legs come and cross over, and your bum is now on your heel. Yeah. And I go, I've never seen a duck do that.
No.
But it's called sitting like a duck.
But I actually find that really comfortable position to sit in.
Yeah. So that's a thing where you can stretch out your quads and stuff like that. So there's a lot of complex movements that you've got to build up to. So we call them progressions. And the biggest thing with Tai Chi is it's the move between the move, right? How do you get from here to there is actually more important than doing this and then doing that. It's the in-between is where the injuries happen and where a lot of sort of poor technique happens. So with me, when I'm training people in Tai Chi at a high level, we're looking at their transitions more than the technique or the posture. And here's the other sort of thing is, postures can be done in a static position. So anything you do can be done without movement, because you're trying to go, okay, it's an isometric exercise then. So if I hold you in a posture and say, you're going to be in this posture, so if I'm going to basically get a person and put them into a split squat or a split lunge, and I'm just going to say, go halfway down and hold. All right. So I'll put them in an isometric situation where the muscle is contracted, it's not. And so you've got to understand, when do you need isometric contractions? When do you do, or is it eccentric or concentric? So you start putting your podiatry hat on and start going, well, can I modify what I do to get what I want to get? And that's when podiatrists should be saying, I'm just going to build my understanding. Yeah. So there's lots of fun stuff, and listen to research and podcasts. So I learned, I do a lot of short foot exercises for intrinsic muscles, and some people can do it and some people can't. And I've learned by sticking acupuncture needles into abductor hallucis, I can get it to contract and all this fun stuff. But is there an easier way? So I listened to, is it Luke Kelly, he's a researcher, a podiatrist.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, and he was talking about, no, he didn't really like those exercises because if you can't do it, you can't do it type of thing. And it's quite true. And so he said, well, I basically put people into, like when I'm doing heel lowering or heel raising exercises, all I do is get them to lean forward. And now all their intrinsic muscles are firing like crazy in an isometric way. And that's the way the foot works, actually, when we need it to work. So all I had to do with my patients when I'm doing eccentric heel exercises for calf strength, for Achilles and stuff. I just got them to lean against the wall now. I don't actually have to put them up on a step, because I can graduate the lean. I can say, okay, now we've basically got our ankle range of motion, but we've also got our intrinsic muscles firing. And so you start going, when we put our podiatry cap on and we look at exercises in a different way, we go, what are we really trying to achieve? And can I experiment without, and a lot of times you experiment through looking at the research. Yeah. You don't want to be that cowboy that goes, I'm just going to do it my way. You want to look at what research. So I've got buckets of research on Tai Chi, because when you work for a large organization, they want you to go, here's my research, this is what I'm doing, and it's backed up by this. I'm not just the guy that says, I'm going to teach Tai Chi, and we'll do it to a Parkinson's group.
So if podiatrists wanting to learn more, where would be the first places you would advise them to start looking? Because I would just want to slowly wrap up, because I want to get on this breathing thing so we don't forget. Don't want to get to the end and everyone goes, bloody hell, we didn't get that breathing exercise. Yeah. So where should they look?
So look, like there's a lot of podiatrists now are doing stuff on exercise prescription, right? Some of it you go, great starting point. And so you can have a look at some of those podiatrists and that. Sometimes you're just going to have to go, hey, I got taught in university how to do eccentric calf exercises. And then can I do some research? What's the current literature at the moment? Do a bit of reading. Can I modify it? Is it the best still? So a lot of it, I have to just troll through research papers to look at tweak versions of exercises and stuff like that. For the Tai Chi side of things, sad to say, it's like with all sorts of exercise, there's crap podiatrists, there's crap Tai Chi instructors. Yeah. Right. And so I go, well, I'm crap, but I'm just a bit better than some. Right. And so I've always offered that with when I worked for Queensland Health, I used to say, look, guys, do you want to learn a bit more acupuncture and dry needling? I know a lot of you have done the course. I'm willing to put aside a Sunday a month and we'll do it together. I never got any take-ups. People would go, oh, look, so who are we going to needle? And I said, we're going to needle each other. You're going to walk away with, you had lots of needles. Oh, no, I only want to stick needles into patients. Yeah. I go, come on. You're going to learn. We're going to be doing stuff learning. So we want to be able to be in a friendly environment where we can say, okay, I've never done this before, but let's do this. And I offered to do it free of charge for my colleagues, and no one took me up on it. So with Tai Chi, yeah, look, if someone was in my local area and said, Colin, can we just run through some Tai Chi? I'd say, I'd love to. Why not? I guarantee I'm not going to make my living out of Tai Chi. People want Tai Chi for nothing. Right? So I make it out of Tai Chi through podiatry. So I teach more Tai Chi and podiatry. Eventually, once COVID settles down, I'll do Tai Chi classes in the traditional way, but I'll just hopefully do it better than some. So yeah, colleagues who want to get in contact with me and say, look, this is really interesting. I'm not far from you, and could I come and have a chat with you? Yeah, I've always been open through my whole career. I used to mentor my opposition's podiatrists. I won't say who.
So do they just just contact you through the podiatry clinic, Power Podiatry in Harvey Bay?
Yeah, look, Power Podiatry at Gmail if they want, is gmail.com, or give us a call. Look on my website, see if it's pretty or not. I'm building it slowly. I'm learning web design.
No, that's fine. So what's this breathing exercise?
Okay, let's do the breathing. Okay, so what we've got to learn is a little trick. So our nose joins our lip. Where our nose joins our lip, have a push really hard, and you go, oh, that's a bit tender.
Yes,
that's an
it is a bit tender.
It is a bit tender.
That's why it hurts when you get hit there.
It's a great strike. We won't go into that. Yeah. It's an acupuncture point, and it's called governor vessel 26. Right? Okay. Governor vessel 26. So you've got to remember that. So with the breathing, people say, I've got to breathe deep into my dantian or my lower regions. And I'm going to say that's really hard to do. So we're going to actually breathe, and we're going to think about the point just below where our nose meets our lip. So all we're going to do with Qigong, we breathe with our eyes open, but with most Qigongs, but not all, we're going to have our tongue against our hard palate. So your tongue's got to be just in front of your teeth, and you're going to breathe in and out through your nose for this one. There are times where we'll breathe in through our nose and out through our mouth, but this is going to be an in and out through our nose. And you're going to keep your eyes open, and you can just do it seated, but you could do it standing. And if you do it standing, you just have your knees slightly bent, but seated is fine. And all you're going to do is you're going to try and relax your diaphragm and extend your stomach a little bit. You don't have to be a big Buddha, right? So you're going to extend it. So when you breathe in, your stomach goes out. And when you breathe out, your stomach goes in. But all you're going to do is you're going to be thinking about where your nose meets your lip. So you're just going to, so as we do this, so your tongue's on your hard palate, we're going to keep our eyes open. They can be slightly softly open. And you're just going to breathe in through your nose. And you're going to pause for a second. And then out through your nose. And pause at the bottom. So it's like a pendulum. So we're going to breathe in, have a pause, breathe out, and have a pause. Because we only breathe in and out without a pause when the tiger's chasing us, right? So we're trying to get the tiger away at the moment, so we're going to relax a little bit. So we're going to have that pause.
So you keep having to remind yourself about that point?
Yeah, even just think about it and go, when can you feel it breathe in? With a man, you might have a few more nose hairs to think about. But as you're breathing in, you go, can you feel the air come over that point?
Yeah, you can.
And then just hold for a little and then breathe out. And as you get a bit better, your holds become a little bit longer as you relax. So all you do is you breathe in, pause, breathe out, pause. And then it becomes slower and longer. You don't want to get it to the point where you think you're gasping for breath. But as you get better and as the time goes up, within a few minutes, you could say this, I'm just frazzled. And you say, I'm going to sit and I'm going to breathe for just 3 minutes. And you're sitting at your desk, next patients come in, you're just going to give yourself 3 minutes. And you're just going to say, my tongue's against my hard palate. I'm going to breathe in through my nose. I'm going to think of the air rushing over that GV26 and then out again. And you're just going to do that for 3 minutes. You give yourself 3 minutes, right? And then you're off back to work again.
I must admit, even just doing it that short period of time then, when you actually stop, turn off all the voices in your head, just that short period of breathing, then you just feel that little bit more relaxed.
Well, you've got to give the monkey mind something to do.
Oh, yeah, my monkey mind goes. I've got about 8 monkeys in there.
So if you say, I want to have nothing, the monkey mind's going to come in. So I've just given the monkey mind something to do. It's called the GV26. And it's known in acupuncture as one of the command points, right? So it's an important point.
I think it's helped too when you push it to start with, because even when you push that and you sort of go, oh wow, that's a bit uncomfortable. Yeah. That even when you let it go, it's still there. So I think giving a little tap before you even start the breathing reminds you of where that is.
When we go off record, I'll tell you the martial aspect of it, but we won't do it for general listeners.
When we used to do Salat, that was one of our one of the moves was holding your fist a certain way and actually targeting that area.
I'll teach you another little fun thing.
Oh yeah, that'll be fun.
Once we're off air.
We'll keep the video going though.
we don't want to be known as those guys that cause people to be injuring themselves.
Yes, well, we create work for the dentist.
Yeah. So that's just a little thing for someone to say. Like, there's lots. I teach a lot of Qigong as well. So we found with our Parkinson's group that we'd get fun little things like people come in and go, look, I actually take time out to breathe now, right? And they say, I actually have on my day where I sit 10 o'clock or something like this. I sit down. And even we had a couple that said, we actually sit, hold hands. I think in their 90s. She said, we sit and hold hands and we do our 5 minutes of breathing together. And she said, you'd think it was my husband would be like, no, we're not doing this. She says, he's the one that's like, oh, it's breathing time. right? And she said, it's brought them together even closer. And I'm going, that's not bad in the 90s. So we really got to give some time out
Do you
for
give him
ourselves.
a little nudge, nudge, wink, wink? Does he wink back at you? And sort of go, yeah, Colin, there's a new spark.
Some of the stories, you've been in the game as nearly as long as me, some of the stories your patients tell you, there's things that are not repeatable and you don't really want to even think about. And usually when a patient starts with, Colin, you're nearly a doctor, you know that they're going to ask you something very inappropriate for a podiatrist. And I've had all the most inappropriate stuff asked by my male and female patients that I just go, I don't want to think about this.
Yeah, please don't. So, Colin, we better. Have you got a final point before we finish up?
Okay, final point is that breathing and counting. Any exercise, right? You can add in breathing and counting. So you can say to your patients, okay, slow this down, and we're going to get you to count. We know from research that people who count an exercise actually do better than people who don't count. Okay. So if you're doing any of your standard podiatry exercises, do some counting, and you can use breath work as well to slow those. So the people that really do everything way too fast, breathing and counting is functional strength is really what we're looking for. Flexibility is, I think, is the wrong term. So we're really looking at, we're trying to get that particular person's functional strength. So everyone's going to be different because not everyone's going to be like a hurdler, a marathon runner or whatever. Some people just want to be able to walk to the letterbox and back without being in pain or of risk of falling over. So you've got to go, well, what are you trying to achieve? There's lots of science. It'll even, so we could go into the science, but we haven't got enough time anymore because we always talk too much. But we know that there is a lot of research to support it. And it really is one of those things that if you're tired of giving just traditional exercises that no one does, I've found by Tai Chiing up a lot of my exercises, I get a greater adherence. So you've got to find your flavor of way of doing exercises and engagement with your patient. I've just found it with I'm the Tai Chi type of guy.
Yeah, I remember I wrote a thing for my patients called the Lazy Man's Exercise Guide, and you could only do it while drinking a Corona. Because I'd say to the guys, do you enjoy beer? They said, yeah. And I said, well, okay, well, you do these exercises, and I showed them how to do it while drinking a Corona, and this is how you do these 4 certain exercises. And then they'd come back in with their wife, and the wife would be going, I've never seen him exercise so much. Is there a limit to how much exercise you can do? And I said, well, just 2 Coronas. He goes, oh, sorry, I thought the more Coronas, the more exercise. So it is, if you can find something that can take a boring exercise into something and Tai Chiing it up. I'm not saying Coronaing it up.
No, but also limit it. Like, here's the thing, like you constantly get patients come in and they've gone, oh, my physio's given me 10 exercises.
Yeah.
And you go, my God, I'm lucky to do like 3 is maximum with me, with someone who's really engaged with the process. So it's 1 and 2 exercises I give on standard.
Yeah.
And sometimes I'll go, we're going to do a progression of this exercise. So it's never always we're going to do new exercises. Sometimes it's an exercise that has 3 or 4 different progressions in intensity and complexity. So you're not reteaching an exercise, you're just making it slightly different.
Yeah, I think it's a good point. Okay, Colin, I want to thank you for coming back on the Podiatry Legends podcast again. The shirt is headed your way, which you will wear proudly, I'm sure. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
And I'll stop the recording here. The video is still going. So thanks for watching, guys.